Thomas the tank engine was on his way back from the Steamworks. He had had an accident with the repairs on Duck's branch line, and now that the line was mended, Thomas went back to work with his two coaches, Annie and Clarabelle, who were very happy to see Thomas home again. That evening, the engines were pleased to see Thomas back in the sheds again.
It's good to be back home. Now tell me all the news.
Stanley helped with the repairs during your absence, said Edward. He's been very reliable for you while you were mended.
Thomas was pleased to hear that Stanley did his work while he was away.
I'm glad Stanley helped out with the repairs. He's very reliable indeed.
Yes, but you're not very reliable, Thomas, Gordon scoffed. You were 2 minutes late meeting with me at the junction.
Nonsense, snorted Thomas. At least I was able to deliver my passengers safely, and Sir Topham Hatt knows that most of his engines are responsible, reliable, and really useful.
The other engines agreed with Thomas, but Gordon just snorted as he backed into the sheds ready for a nice long sleep. The next morning at Knapford, Thomas told Annie and Clarabelle all about Gordon.
Don't take any notice, Thomas,
said Annie.
He's only jealous because of how really reliable you are,
added Clarabelle. Thomas felt better after hearing what Annie and Clarabelle had said to him, and he set off happily on his branch line.
Come along,
Thomas puffed.
We're coming along,
sang Annie and Clarabelle. Thomas was making good time on his way to Maythwaite when suddenly he noticed Percy stuck on the line looking rather sad.
What's happened, Percy?
asked Thomas.
I ran out of coal, Thomas,
said Percy sadly.
Now I won't be able to make it to the lead mines to collect my trucks. Don't worry, Percy. I'll shunt you to the coal bunker at Maythwaite,
Thomas said to his friend. Percy was very pleased with this, so Thomas shunted Percy to Maythwaite to load up on more coal. Percy was soon in the siding with his driver and fireman filling his bunker with more coal.
Thank you, Thomas,
called Percy.
No problem, Percy,
said Thomas as he rushed out of the station. He was beginning to run late with his train. Thomas hurried along the branch line towards Torrywreck, but soon there was more trouble ahead. As Thomas pulled into the station with his passengers, he noticed Bertie the bus looking glum. "Bertie's got a flat tire," said Bertie's driver. "We need to get our passengers to Farquhar as soon as possible. Please, can Bertie's passengers ride Annie and Clarabelle?" "Of course," agreed Thomas's driver.
Don't worry, Bertie, said Thomas kindly. I'll get your passengers to Farquhar in no time. Thank you, Thomas. You're a really good friend indeed, came the reply.
When Thomas arrived at Farquhar with Bertie's passengers, he was very late and was worried that Sir Topham Hatt would be cross and he would get into trouble. But the station master had some news for Thomas. 2 goods vans need to be taken to the junction, and you're the only engine here at the station available. These vans are very important goods for Sir Topham Hatt, so get to the junction as soon as possible. Thomas was now even more worried. He didn't feel reliable by helping his friends out, which interfered with his timetable, but Thomas was determined to deliver the vans to the junction as soon as possible. The vans were soon coupled to Annie and Clarabelle, and off Thomas went. Thomas hurried as fast as he could to deliver the important goods. He knew he couldn't let Sir Topham Hatt down.
Must be on time, he
said to himself. Finally, Thomas arrived at the junction, and there standing on the platform was Sir Topham Hatt. Thomas was now even more worried. Whatever would Sir Topham Hatt say to him after being late with his friends in need? But Sir Topham Hatt was smiling.
"Thomas, I've heard all about what happened with you helping Percy with the coal and Bertie with his passengers, and me with these important goods, and I must say, you really have been a reliable engine today."
Thomas didn't understand.
But, sir, I was running late with my train because my friends needed help. How was I reliable?
You've been reliable by trying to get your jobs done on time, but more importantly, you've been reliable by helping out your friends in need, and I'm very pleased with you.
Thank you, sir,
said Thomas happily. He felt much better now. Thomas never worries about Gordon telling him how unreliable he is anymore. Percy told Gordon the whole story at the sheds, and he would never dare try to cause trouble for Thomas ever again.